Well, even though I'm still suffering from the flu, I finally decided to take time to watch another episode of STD. Yeah. I was a bit concerned because in my weakened condition, could I survive it? I shouldn't laugh because every time I do, it starts the cough again. Oh, God. All right. So this episode was called Light and Shadows. And it finally delivered what anyone who tuned in this season for, and that was the arrival of Spock. So Burnham finally finds Spock. It turns out he was hiding on Vulcan, and in the one of the temples with a Katra, I believe. And all of a sudden, I don't recall Amanda being that upset with Michael, but now she's mad at her, doesn't trust her, and everything because the Federation believes he's murdered people, and she's mad at Michael for this. I mean, Michael is just, I don't think he did, but I don't know what happened, and that's the situation they're in. So another forced scene to have conflict because, need to do something in those scenes. And so anyway, of course, she shows Michael where Spock is, and Spock's completely nuts, which we already knew because he sent himself to the asylum, and then he broke out and apparently murdered his doctors to escape. So Spock's babbling incoherently and all this sort of thing, and so whatever. And Sarek walks in on them. So you lied to me, Amanda, and so and then you gotta go through. Yeah, it's a tough deal being married to a Vulcan who has no emotions. Gee, Amanda, you didn't know that, and and all that, and back and forth. And I'm sure everything's Sarek's fault because he's a father, and fathers are terrible, all that sort of thing. And with Sarek, says, well, Michael, you need to turn Spock over to Section 31. Now they'll fix this. So Michael does, I'm sure this will work out. And they said, well, we got this technology that can probe his mind, and we can find the answers through that. And so they're going to do that. And then Georgiou shows up and warns Michael that he's full of crap. It's going to extract memories from his mind, and it'll leave him a vegetable or whatever. And so Michael just says, holy crap, I got to get him out of here, and Georgiou says, yeah, we'll fake a fight, and then I'll say you overpowered me, and you can escape with Spock. And this will help me, and I'll gain power over Section 31 and all this sort of thing. Ha, ha, ha. All the reason, another reason on top of all the other reasons, because she's an evil genocidal maniac, for Burnham not to believe a word this woman says. But, yeah, she believes her. So then they go into their fight that's supposed to be, I guess it was supposed to be spectacular, but really wasn't. And it took way too long because Section 31... somebody else would have noticed this, and by the time they finally got around to, I need to go in there and get Spock, they would have been captured. So it's another stupid thing that could be rather nitpicking, but since there's so much wrong with this series, gonna bitch about it even more. So the other story, which was more interesting, involved Pike and Tyler, or Vok, or Voke, whichever, tomato, went to investigate this anomaly involving the red signal, which disappeared into a temporal warp that suddenly appears, and they show the evidence of it. It messes with time, so they could see after images of their past selves just a few seconds ago appear on the bridge and this sort of thing, and like, oh man, well, and so they decide to send a probe to investigate. And to do so, they had to fire it from a shuttle. So Tyler and Pike get on the shuttle. And, of course, Pike is he's not no fan of Tyler for good reason. And so they're kind of, but it works out. They do okay with it. And it's just more evidence of Pike shows you what a show could have been with him on there. You know why he's there, because the show was failing and they were hoping to gain excitement by bringing him back, but it's just, he might as well scrap this show and try to do a Pike series. But with this writing staff, I don't know that would work very well either. So they go do this, and of course things go wrong. Pike and Tyler get trapped in there, and they're shifting through time, so you think, some kind of time distortion thing will happen, and you'll get some, well, not a whole lot. They're just in this sort of vortex thing, and then the probe turns on them and attacks them, and they're like, hey, what the hell? Well, suddenly the probe appears to have been augmented, so who knows how long the probe has been gone due to the time distortion. And who could have augmented it? Oh, well, probably the Borg. If they actually know their Star Trek. They probably don't, so maybe it won't be. So it's from the future, so it attacks the shuttle and then begins to download all the data that the shuttle has, and which is odd because it's their own probe, so... But maybe it just didn't have all that data, I don't know. It wanted some more, whatever. So it's doing that, and Stamets has to come rescue him because he's the only one who can possibly find them, even though one of the bridge officers, I forget his name, he found them because Pike did a maneuver just like in one of the old episodes where he fired off the retro rockets to send a signal. But with time distortion, would it have worked, and how would they know what time? Anyway, Stamets beams on there, and they're able to beam off and survive after the probe ends up destroying the shuttle. It blows up and destroys itself and all that. But meanwhile, due to the leak, it was also downloading stuff from the Discovery, and Robot Lady, who is one of the cooler looking members of the crew, which is like, wow, why couldn't she be one of the major characters? That would be fascinating. And so she's working to block its access, but seemingly succeeds, and of course it's destroyed, so seems all right. But no, a mysterious signal arrives, and it takes over her, obviously, and now it's uploaded into her robot, databanks or whatever. And so now maybe we'll finally get an episode where it's about her for a change, and then they'll probably kill her off, because that makeup looks rather expensive. So they probably said, "No, we only have room for Doug Jones anymore, so afraid you're gonna have to go." Nice knowing you, Robot Lady. Probably what they'll do. They're one of the cooler looking ones, yeah. But who knows? Maybe the actress isn't all that great. I don't know. But anyway, the symbols that the transmission from this mysterious probe, or the augmented probe, looked an awful lot like Brainiac. So, but obviously not, but well, whatever. And another thing there was when Stamets figured out what to do, and he realized he needed to beam over to the shuttle. So he's dashing off to the transporter room, and Tilly's following him. Remember when Tilly won the marathon with all those other officers who were in such great shape? Yeah. Here she's unable to keep up with Stamets while he's walking. Yeah. So anyway, so they did that little bit, and it's a setup for a future episode, obviously, with the time, and maybe it fits in with this idea that the Red Angel will explain why everything is so different and doesn't fit in Star Trek canon whatsoever. No attempt of fitting into continuity at all. But overall, I've seen worse episodes of STD. But what's the ultimate crime in this episode? It's back to Spock, and he's not just crazy in that he experienced this Red Angel and it did something to him, and with time distortions and all that, you could understand it could have a massive effect, and he's got to struggle to bring himself back. Okay, well, turns out Spock had some problems, and now we learned that he was dyslexic and had some dysphagia, I believe it's referred to, and it's like, good Lord, how many more times are they going to rewrite this guy? And that's not going to go over well. I mean, what else? It's just why? It's absolutely unnecessary. You've already set it up that he had some experience that had a massive impact on him. There you go, you know, but no, we got to do this. And how this helps Burnham's character, it really doesn't, but it's this constant need to everybody else has to be redone and defeated and broken down so that Burnham shines. I don't know, but yeah. So, that's really bad. But they weren't done with messing with it there. No, while you're stewing over that, one more little element that was to give you a view of familiar faces and whatnot from past Star Trek. What's with you people? Don't you want to see that? Yeah, well, Spock was babbling seemingly incoherently, but there was a series of numbers that he kept spouting, and of course only Burnham figures it out. Turns out they're coordinates to Telos 4. Yes, we're going all the way back to the cage. But before the cage began, yes. But perhaps since Spock is in such a bad state of mind, he won't remember that he had been to Telos 4 before when Pike arrives in the cage. Yeah, he just will fail to mention that. So, yes, they're going there, and the Telosians will help Spock or Burnham understand what Spock saw because of their mind-reading abilities and their powers of illusion and all that. Obviously, at this point, it's just admit it. This is a entirely different timeline. It's the only way it works. And this is a different version of how things happened with these characters, and why. You know, what's the improvement? The special effects are better. Yeah, that tends to happen when you're, decades later. But that's about it. So what's better story-wise? There isn't any. There's really no purpose for this to be done. Dragging Spock and Pike into this was because the show failed, and you desperately had to slap them on there. But you don't know how to write Star Trek, and you don't know how to be respectful to these characters, and you should have left well enough alone. This show should have been set in a future time. The sky's the limit. You do whatever you want. You'd still have the blatant, really stupid problems with basic science fiction that they keep doing. Where they're not even doing it, it's just magic and stuff like that. But and the bad writing and all that, but it might have had a better chance. I don't know, but so Spock finally arrives. Does it really fix everything? Is it now? Oh crap! Finally, we're up and running now. No. So there you go, STD, Light and Shadows. I guess I'll toss it 2 stars. Well, again, it had some good moments with Pike. And Robot Girl. Robot Girl had a moment. You blinked, you missed it. But Robot Girl. Thanks for watching and listening. And we'll do it again soon. That's right. Bye-bye.